This is Ralph Lauren, the founder of Ralph Lauren Corporation, and for some weird reason, this man is tied to a real-life American dream narrative of the rags to riches journey, both as a person and as a business owner. Apparently, his company actually began by turning rags into ties and ties into wealth. Unsatisfied with men's fashion in the 1960s, this young man made the decision to create outfits for himself, and that decision spiraled to become a multi-billion-dollar empire. Following his decisions to step down as CEO of his multi-billion-dollar fashion house, we thought it would be appropriate to look back on his career and inspirational rise from poverty to affluence. This is the story of a man who went from being a sales assistant to building an $8 billion fashion empire. How did he do it? To get an answer to this question, we have to go on a journey down a very dark rabbit hole. It all began in 1939. Ralph, who was born a vulnerable kid of Ashkenazi Jews from the Soviet Union, made his initial explorations into the clothing and business worlds at DeWitt Clinton High School. In a family of four, Ralph's parents, Frank and Fredo, who had come to the United States from Europe, were in charge of raising him. Despite having to live in a very small house and share his bedroom with his siblings, Ralph considers his upbringing as being happy. He was highly renowned for his distinctive sense of style when he was a youth. He was intrigued by appearances that mixed classic elegance with classic preppy flair. He was inspired by the distinctive styles of Hollywood greats like Cary Grant and Fred Astaire. Due to his intense enthusiasm for clothing, Ralph needed to obtain a job to finance his fashion obsession. As a result, Ralph obtained a part-time job to finance his love of fashion. After graduating from high school and receiving his degree, Ralph enlisted at Manhattan's Baruch College for the business program. He spent a total of 2 years at the institution before realizing he was uninterested in the subject. And then his entire adult life was upended when Ralph was enlisted in the military in 1962. While in the military, he would upsell handcrafted ties to schoolmates with a $7 to $10 markup during the day while working at Alexander's, a now-defunct chain of stores throughout New York City. Ralph studied in the evenings at Brooklyn's Baruch College after finishing high school and serving 2 years in the U.S. Army Reserves, where he also displayed his enterprising tie-selling business to other students before working as a neckwear salesman at Brooks Brothers. Making clothing he wished to wear was Ralph Lauren's primary motivation when he first started his profession. By accepting a sales position at the Brooks Brothers in New York at the age of 24, he formally transformed his passion for fashion into a vocation. In 1967, Ralph started the Ralph Lauren Corporation when he introduced his line of men's neckties under his brand. The popularity of the ties, according to him, was attributed to the fact that they were broad and unconventional, and they also stood out from other ties on the market during that time. Ralph started exploring the possibility of creating his neckwear, with the Ivy League style of Brooks Brothers serving as a major creative inspiration. The Ralph aesthetic was reinforced in the designer's mind when he encountered 1930s film actor Douglas Fairbanks Jr. wearing a double-breasted suit and spread-collar shirt, which stood in stark contrast to the cookie-cutter clothing of mid-60s Manhattan. However, Brooks Brothers denied Ralph the time he needed to develop his ideas, pushing him to pursue a number of alternative suppliers before he finally found Beau Brummel, an upmarket neckwear store in New York. From their Empire State Building showroom, he designed and marketed these pieces. Ralph traveled from store to store, hawking his ties to clients in addition to selling them from a drawer in the lobby of the Empire State Building in New York. As his career took off, Ralph decided to further explore his love of fashion by starting a clothing store. So he created the Polo brand, which promoted a particular way of living in addition to apparel. In reference to his designs for the line, Ralph has described the design aesthetic of the Polo apparel line as having a tweedy English-American vibe with a French cut. Ralph served as the primary creative genius behind the fashion company that found it essentially out of a drawer in a small room in the Empire State Building for 48 years. The New England look has established itself as a fundamental tenet of American fashion because of his particular conception of a preppy, ambitious American. The 1970s were a successful decade for the Ralph Lauren brand. The women's collection and the brand's iconic cotton polo shirt were both introduced by Ralph Lauren during this decade. Since starting with the polo line, the Ralph Lauren Corporation has grown into a genuine lifestyle brand, selling goods under the Ralph Lauren name in 4 different categories, including clothing, accessories, home goods, and perfumes. The polo line marked the start of this change. Ralph has, moreover, frequently created the American Olympic team's outfits throughout his career. Additionally, he created the costumes for several well-known movies, including Annie Hall and The Great Gatsby in 1974. Despite the fact that his name and clothing brand were linked with polo, the man had never even set foot on a polo court. He once explained to Oprah in an interview that his logo was always a polo player because he liked athletics and polo has a sleekness to it. He rapidly started to grow, exhibiting his designs to numerous department stores throughout Manhattan with Beau Brummel in his rearview mirror. Unfortunately, when he contacted Bloomingdale's, he originally turned down their offer since it would have required him to lose his distinctive broader European tie width and change his name to Sutton East, a Bloomingdale employee. Later on, he declined, shifting his patronage to other shops. Bloomingdale's placed an order for a full rack and case of his ties 6 months later. Ralph introduced us to the short-sleeved necked sport shirt, showcasing his embellished polo pony on the chest in 1972. 2 years after introducing his full clothing brand, and a year after his first catalog for women. This item came to be known as the polo shirt for short. The brand grew and diversified during the following 3 decades, including colognes, denim lines, and luxury labels. However, the emergence of hip-hop throughout the 1980s and 1990s also saw the introduction of 2 of the brand's most iconic motifs in terms of streetwear iconography. The first sweater with the American flag on it debuted in 1989. Ralph got a Steiff teddy bear for his birthday around the same time, dressed as a teddy bear-sized polo. The bear was then stocked in his stores after he made an order with Steiff. In 1991, Ralph then started incorporating the motif throughout all his knitwear and sweater creations. Ralph Lauren is now considered one of the most renowned fashion designers in the world. That's because Ralph worked relentlessly, remained steadfast, and pursued his aspirations to rise from his humble beginnings as a young boy growing up in the Bronx to becoming a well-known cultural icon all across the world. Over the course of his whole life, Ralph Lauren has established a reputation for himself as a humanitarian. Unfortunately, Ralph was diagnosed with a brain tumor in the 1980s. He had the good fortune to be able to have the tumor removed before it could do any harm, and as a result, he fully recovered. Because of his own life experiences with a brain tumor that necessitated surgery, Ralph presumably donates most of his charity funds to organizations that promote cancer research and care. Ralph participated in the creation of Georgetown University's Nina Hyde Center for Breast Cancer Research in 1989. He has since worked with several organizations that promote cancer research, such as the Pink Pony Campaign and the Royal Marsden NHS Foundation Trust. Ralph is more than worthy of the title, but he objects to the term since he feels his philanthropic activity comes from the heart. There were rumors that the Ralph Lauren company was having issues in some areas in June 2016. Price reduction and lower-end products, according to analysts, damaged the company's reputation. They also pointed to the company's inability to draw in younger customers as a leading cause. In objection, the fashion designer released the wearable tech in the shape of a fitness software shirt in 2017. Together with a mobile application. A piece of sporting clothing called the Polo Tech Smart Shirt is considered a pioneer in the field of physical tracking systems. It was equipped with sensors that tracked the user's heart rhythm, breathing, stress level, and caloric expenditure. An application received a data stream and created custom exercise routines from it. As a result, Polo Sport was able to compete with other company titans like Nike and Adidas. Today, Ralph Lauren has employed over 10,000 people, has 388 locations worldwide, and generates $2.02 billion in annual revenue, with its firm still having its headquarters in New York. The 83-year-old designer is now taking pleasure in the fruits of his labor. However, the man still claims he has never desired a career in fashion. The kid who once dreamt of earning $1 million now owns mansions in Bedford, Long Island, Jamaica, and Manhattan. He is now worth $6.6 billion. In fact, his car collection is regarded as one of the most expensive in the entire globe. As a matter of fact, he believes that having style and shunning trends is one of the factors in his achievements. Overall, if you want to start your own rags to riches tale, you need a high amount of grit and commitment. What do you think about this man? We'd love to know your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel.